Chicken Soup for the Soul, recovering from traumatic brain injuries. Fantastic Frank, one of the authors, is here to share his story. Up next, Chicken Soup for the Soul. Wait until you hear one man's story of survival and how he now inspires others. Welcome back. Our next guest has an amazing story of survival. He was trapped in a fire, and he says he was carried out in a body bag. He survived that fire, but his life was changed forever. Fantastic Frank is here now to share his story, along with Michele Camacho, who wrote about Frank's story for the popular book Chicken Soup for the Soul. Frank, let's start with you. You're wearing your cape. Explain your costume and how your mission is now to inspire others.
My mission is to inspire, to let everyone know they have a hero within them, and I know how to unleash that. If I could spend a few minutes with you, I bet I could uncover your hero within you too.
How do you do that?
By using an Excel formula. The Excel stands for E, engage your hero. X, expect what you have. Expect the best that you believe. C stands for celebrate with joy and abundance. The third E stands for
engage.
Thank you. Engage your superpower, and the last L stands for, what is it?
Live your life to the fullest.
Live your life to the fullest.
Wonderful. So you really, it's made, that's your mission now, is to just inspire others.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Talk to me about the accident that led you to this.
Well, I was trapped in a fire, carried out in a body bag on the way to a hospital. A medic had to revive me by inserting a trach tube, and he damaged my voice box. However, I want people to realize that just because I have one challenge in my life, I don't call them problems, I call them challenges, that I can overcome it, and if I can overcome my challenge, anybody can do what they have to do.
What a sweet outlook on life. Michele, talk to me about Chicken Soup for the Soul. I understand that you actually wrote a story about Frank and how he has made it his mission to inspire others now.
That's right. Well, when I heard that Chicken Soup was going to have this book for people who are recovering from traumatic brain injuries, I knew people needed to know about Fantastic Frank, because we've been working together for several years, and he inspires me constantly. When I first met him, he was just a sign of brightness. We met in the line of a Department of Motor Vehicles.
I was just going to ask how you met him.
And usually people are kind of dull and bored, and here's this bright face. We introduced each other, and I thought he is such an interesting person. We got to know each other. And then as a copywriter, I help give voice to people and their stories. So I've done copywriting for his websites, his speeches, various things. And he has such a genuine message. And what I noticed and what I really appreciate about working with him is that it takes a lot of patience.
Because I have a traumatic brain injury, and I can't stay focused on one idea for very long. I hop and jump around, don't I, Michele?
Well, Frank, one thing I'll never forget, we had this working session, 4 hours. We were looking at his TV appearances, his speaking, all his books. And at the end, he goes to leave at the door, and he says, Michele,
this is what you wrote the story about.
He says, why did we get together today? And it broke my heart. I felt, how does he persist? It's his own passion to help others. And whether you have some kind of fear, some kind of concern, anything that holds you back, he can inspire not just people who have traumatic brain injuries, not just the friends and families of those who they have a hard time understanding because of how the traumatic brain injury has changed their loved one, but anyone to go beyond what's holding back. And he is always pushing me and making me go beyond, and he's just such an inspiring figure. So I really wanted to get that message out with the Chicken Soup for the Soul story. I just knew he had to be in it. I wrote it in 2 nights. I stayed up all night.
Wow.
I got it in the night of the deadline, and I think that it made it in as just a testimony to Fantastic Frank's inspiring story for others.
Well, I don't know how much of this you really want to hear the backstory, but the backstory is that we had written 2 other stories. The first one didn't go anyplace with us. The second one we had submitted, and Michele called me up one day and she said, I got some bad news and good news. I said, what's the bad news? She said, the bad news is the first story that came from my heart got rejected, but that she had secretly written this other story on her own dime, and she got that published. And I said, how the heck did that happen? But God works in mysterious ways.
Isn't that the truth? Isn't it funny that you two met at the DMV, and here we are today?
Yes, that's right.
And so now the book Chicken Soup for the Soul, Living with Traumatic Brain Injuries, comes out on
June 24th is when it's going to be available in stores. It is available on pre-sale on Amazon.
It is.
Okay. Well, it was so nice to meet both of you, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you. And if you'd like to pick up a copy of Chicken Soup for the Soul, Recovering from Traumatic Brain Injuries, it'll hit stores' shelves, as Michele just said, on June 24th.